Yeah, talk to me about that. What are the big lessons you've learned about your walk with God? Because that had to be some times when you had some doubt and like, what in the world are you up to? And yet now you're watching this and about the big life lessons. And Charity, jump in because you've been watching this too. So
It was, excuse me, it was hard. And like, I think the time when I um, really started to feel like just letting you control what you wanted to do, what you wanted to do was after, we were home from your second surgery and when you started to get so bad again, where of course, you know, as a wife, I want him to be here forever
sure,
and
sure.
with the kids and everything. But the one time when I was like, okay, that's a different story you're telling now and I need to go with it was when you were planning your service with Brian Mills or talking to him about it at our house one day and
A funeral service.
yes,
Yes.
and deciding what you wanted to be in that you had said that well the same thing that you just said not very long ago about um if God thinks that I can do better for him, serve him better with him in heaven, then that's what I'm going to do. And so that's when I decided that I needed to be okay with that too and to help you in that journey and stuff too. But
I'm sorry I put you through that. Um, I learned that I don't like negativity.
Mm.
So it's so much easier to be happy
Yep.
and enjoy
That
life.
sounds simple, but it's not, is it?
It's not always simple.
Right.
Anytime that the Longhorn used to call and they had a problem or something, and I would go fix it. And the whole time there, I'm just getting anxiety and like this is gonna be terrible. It's
Mm,
gonna be something I can't fix. It's gonna
mm,
be very expensive. Now they could give me the worst news in the world. We're gonna fix it. It's
yep.
not that big a deal.
Gonna be
It
okay.
just isn't compared to the what just went through. It really isn't that big a deal.
Right.
So why spread that worry and anxiety and or even some people get upset over something like that because I don't know if they don't know what to do and that makes them mad or I just go there and put a smile on my face and try to spread that and
Mm,
happiness and
mm,
fix the problem instead of going there upset and angry and throwing stuff. And it's just totally different outlook on life. It gave me so
mhm,
much more thanks.
mhm,
Things really ain't that big a deal. Life is too short to be upset.
mhm.
Um, and I mean, I'm not perfect by any means, but I try so hard to be happy. I'd rather see smiles than someone
Yep.
angry.
So that matter of perspective of saying, I thought I lost everything, and so I'm going to be grateful for what I have, and God's restoring, and walking through that. You're absolutely right. You're spot on. That it's it's too bad sometimes we have to say, "Oh, guess what? Stuff doesn't matter."
Right.
But we come to that point of saying, "Yeah," and even for you, Charity, of saying, "Okay, this happens. I gotta be okay with it. I gotta." It's a huge deal, and I wish as people we could learn that without pain. But some of us are just not that bright.
And
I mean, I've been too hard headed. I mean, God kind of had to take me to a place where I said, "Okay, well, then it's over." So okay, and guess what? I get this now. How about that?
and you think Well, I did. I'm like, oh, I understand. I'll be ready if this ever happens to me. I don't think you really know
Right,
until you go
right,
through it.
right.
So I think the world just needs more compassion
Yes.
and understanding.
Mhm.
Uh, you don't, you might meet someone that day at the coffee shop or whatever, and you can tell they're going through a hard time. You don't know what they're going through.
Mhm.
Have some compassion. Be nice to them.
Yep.
Be that smile
Yep.
for them.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, uh, to change gears a little bit, um, when my father took his life right before I was diagnosed,
Okay.
um, I worked a double. I learned about it that morning. My sister called and told me. And I worked a double in the kitchen that day. So I went there and didn't say nothing to nobody. I just went to work because there was nobody that could cover for me. And I thought, why spread that
Mm-hmm.
right away and just let the other people deal with their things they're going through? Because, well, I mean, what I was going through was detrimental. It was terrible, but I didn't feel like talking about it. And then about little afternoon, I heard the kitchen door swing open at the Longhorn, and I heard spurs clinging, and I knew exactly who it was. It was my cousin Jake Fosham,
Mm.
and that is the first time that day that I lost it.
Mm.
So anyway, I went home to my family that evening. I loaded up and went home to my mom and siblings, and that everybody kept showing up, showing their love and how much they cared. And towards the end, people are starting to ask, when is everything happening? What time? Where's everything going to be held? And I'm like, we didn't even make plans yet because
Right.
we haven't had time to.
Right.
So I guess that the moral of that story is that I didn't feel like I had time to grieve. So I didn't want that for my family. So
Mm.
I planned the entire funeral. I even had my high school friend Justin Kaler even did my tribute video for me,
Mm.
and thank thank God I didn't have to use it, but it was all ready. I didn't want to have my family go through and realize, geez, we still got to write a eulogy,
Yep.
and
Yep.
I think that pre-planning a funeral is not something everybody does, but I didn't want them to have to go through that. I wanted them to be able to grieve, and if they had any questions, a simple yes or no would
Mm.
would be sufficient. So I didn't want them to have the same feeling I did when my dad passed. So
So
that's
you learn from that, the suddenness of that, and what you just described. That's part of the. I mean, there's a lot of tragedy involved there, but part of that is it's so abrupt. It all of a sudden your life just changed and you didn't have any warning, and you're right. You're thrust into all kinds of stuff you need to do without time to properly just grieve.
right.
Yep.
Yep. I'm very thankful to still be here.
Yeah.
It's
Amen.
just a whole different outlook on life for me.
Amen.
And if something like this, if we can help anybody, even give them hope, I this is one person is
Amen. Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely. Josh, just you do radiate that hope, and that I mean, it's hard to imagine all the ups and downs and the this pain's coming back, and I'm not going to do this again, and I've tried pretty much everything, and yet okay, whatever. Charity wants me to do one more thing, I'll try it, and
yeah.
then like, huh? And I remember you saying, okay, after day 17, you didn't have pain. You went a few more days before you told anybody that because it was almost like
Oh
too good to be
yes,
true, right?
I went day 17. The pain was gone, so I didn't even tell Charity. I told nobody. And
Yeah.
Charity found out 5 days later. I was getting out of my recliner, and I must have been obvious of how I did it. And Charity asked me, Josh, do you feel any different? And I said, you are not going to believe this.
Yeah.
And that is when I told her, I have been pain free for 5 days.
Wow.
And it has went
Like too
on.
good to be true.
It
stuff.
is. I didn't want to
Yep.
disappoint anybody
Yep.
and have it come back. And thank God it didn't. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, let's start wrapping this up. Anything else, Charity, that we've missed that you think we ought to add to this, or Josh?
We could go forever.
Obviously, yeah.
I mean, and we didn't even talk about the time when we're at UC Health. We come home once or twice.
I think we came home 3 times. It was supposed to be
I was wrong anyhow.
it was supposed to be just a 6-week, chemo radiation stint and stuff, and it ended up being 8 or 9 weeks because even with the proton radiation, there's only one machine that they have there, and it's a very complex machine. It's a special kind of radiation, and it had broke down a couple times, but we had planned on going back home a couple times. Once for Court's graduation because he graduated in May. So we were there for about 2 weeks, came home for just 3 days, literally Friday night, evening, we got home after treatment, and we were flying back Monday morning. So that, and then came back for Father's Day. Maybe it was just the 2 times we came back, I think. But then we were actually 2 days from coming home for good when Court had called and said, Mom, my feet look like balloons. And they had just swelled up and stuff. And he sent me some pictures, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is obviously not normal. So Gunnar went with him to just the clinic here in Sundance and saw Dr. Waddell. And we went on to see a specialist after we returned, but turns out he has a autoimmune disease called minimal change disease, and it has to do with your kidneys and how they are eliminating water and stuff. So that's what he was experiencing at that point, but very scary being in a 1,800 miles away and not being able to.
I asked him, how long has this been happening? Too long. I said, why didn't you say something? He looked at me and said, you guys have enough going on. I was just going to deal with it.
Yep.
I think people involved with all this forget how important they are.
Right.
I also want to say I got a lot of credit, or a lot of the emotions went towards me because it was obvious that not just the hair loss, but it's obvious that I was struggling. Family and close friends go through the same thing, if not worse. And to have good people stick by your side is
amazing,
priceless.
Yep.
I want to give the families that are going through this and the spouses so much credit.
Good word.
Yes. Yeah. And don't forget that. It's important.
Yeah, that's an outstanding word because not to minimize, when you're experiencing that pain, whatever, I'm not taking away from that at all, but sometimes just watching that and feeling so helpless about it. I want to help. I want to do something. I can't. And what you've just described is sometimes as a parent of the child, you just want to make it right. And you just, and sometimes you're not there or you can't. That angst of that is just, what do I do?
Talk about a helpless feeling.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I went through heart surgery and whatever. And at one point I'm like, no, I'm just done. I'm going. Oh,
Yeah.
so if I die, I die. And Esther said to me, you know, you might want to talk to me about that. Oh, yeah. Okay. She said, because I'd sort of like for you to live.
Yeah.
This is important to me. And it was a perspective change for me,
Right.
because it was like, okay, then.
It's not just
This is not just my
you.
decision about me and my medical decision. This is because I was kind of where you are. Okay, God, well, yep, time's up. I'm
Yeah.
good. We're going to be okay. And it's, yeah, not so quick. I don't think so. That's the,
Right.
and all of these things give us perspective, don't they?
Yeah.
All of these things say, whatever happens to us doesn't just happen to us.
Right. Yeah.
They're family and friends, and there's
everybody
people
that's around you.
And so I just think remembering that, being reminded, you remind me of that. You remind me of perspective. Some things just don't matter, even important things. But as it turns out, not that important.
Right.
Some things are just, we're so blessed. We're just so blessed in the midst of even pain and the network of how God brings things around in our lives that we wouldn't have guessed. Information and help, and the perspective of family and friends. And let me just say this: watching you two guys interact, it's obviously you really like each other, and yeah, you do. You're love, and that's important to see. Because here's another thing that's important is that, as you would I bet know this, people who go through the kinds of things you've been through, there's a high divorce rate. Because you're emotionally traumatized, and you tick each other off in that process. Because there's days when you're really, really sick and you're just not nice to be around. You're in pain and stuff. I mean, this may not be true of you. I'm just saying, generally speaking, and there's people that just want to bail and cut and run. It's just too painful. It's just hard.
Right.
And so the fact that you guys can walk through this, and obviously you value each other and appreciate each other, I think that's one of those intangible lessons that people just see and catch.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you?
I remember the first time I saw Charity was at the grade school playground.
Oh boy.
Her older brother got too old for the country school they're in. So here they come to Midland, brought Charity and their younger brother Sig, and I remember Charity coming out in the playground in a town that small.
Sure.
You noticed.
Absolutely.
I'm like, who is this girl?
Yep.
And I had a crush on her ever since.
Yeah, very good. That's been a while.
Yeah,
good for you.
We went had proms and high school sweethearts. Got married in July 14th, 2001.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, he remembers. Wow.
That's important.
Brownie points.
Yeah. So,
there you go. Good deal. Thank you for sharing this. God bless you for it. I just hope it's a message of great hope, encouragement, and we'll continue this dialogue. Thank you.